Maybe you're doing a great job in there. Just tell me when you're done.
Hi, we're Marc and Tania. Welcome back to our channel.
So today we are going to tackle framing of the walls. So if you were here for our last video, you know we did the ceiling. We put furring strips in the ceiling and we kind of renovated the headline, or it needed some love, so we took care of it. Today we are going to do framing of the walls. And you can see obviously we've done the one behind us. We wanted to kind of get one under our belt before we started filming, so we knew what we were doing. We actually put the thing up. We didn't like it. We tore it down and started over again. We didn't like where it was going to put the bed. We didn't like the room it was going to give us. So we actually redid the entire wall. And we're going to use this as a model for the opposing side right behind you. So we hope you'll like the video. If you want to follow along on our entire van build process, go ahead and hit that subscribe button in the bottom right of your screen. And we are going to get to it. So obviously this wall is done. We just finished it last night, and I wanted to kind of go over what we did to put this in place. So this is mostly 1x3 pine. These are the common boards. It's not the select stuff. So this is not the expensive wood. This is the cheaper one. We got it in the longest lengths we could find, and then we chopped it down ourselves because it was a bit cheaper that way. So there's 4 types of fasteners that we use to attach this. So we try to use plus nuts wherever possible. The Promaster comes with a bunch of different size holes. It has these hex holes which take M8 bolts, which are a little expensive. It's got the standard round ones which take 1/4-20s, and it's got small round ones which take 10/32s, and we'll link the fasteners for all these below. We tried to use plus nuts wherever possible. In some places we did have to also use self-tapping screws. We wanted to go light on the self-tapping screws because we didn't want to put a bunch of holes in the van that we can't fix or we can't protect from rust. So we kept those to a minimum. The only other fasteners are wood screws that we used when we were joining wood to wood. And then if we were putting wood together like here, we used our trusty Craig jig to attach that. So 4 different types of fasteners. 1x3 pine, that's what this was all made out of. So the Promaster comes with a bunch of holes already stamped in it, and we wanted to take advantage of these wherever possible so that we didn't have to drill through the metal anymore. So you're going to find hex holes which take this particular fastener. This is a riv nut with a hex shank. It takes an M8 bolt, which is a little hard to find, but this fits right in here. It uses the same Astro 450 tool to tighten itself in there, and then you can use those M8 bolts. The larger holes on the Promaster, where's one? Right here, can fit a 1/4-20 plus nut. Fits nice in there, and then the same tool will expand it, and then you could use a standard 1/4-20 bolt in here. The only other opening that these have is a smaller hole that you can see in some of these places that use a 10/32 plus nut. Now the problem with these is I couldn't find any, or I couldn't find enough 10/32 bolts. So I figured what I would do is I would just take the smaller holes, I would use a drill bit, I would widen them up a little bit, and then I would just use these standard plus nuts in there.
So anytime we're cutting into the van, there's going to be fragments of metal. So when we were drilling for a hole, if you can see in this cup, we held the cup underneath the hole as we were drilling to catch as much of the metal fragments. We also have this magnet that's on the end of this rod, so we can stick that down in different places to collect the metal. It may not seem really important and a little bit of overkill, but you really want to just make sure that you're protecting the van from any rust. Then we take a Q-tip and we go over it with a sugar. Then we go over it with Rust-Oleum with a Q-tip inside of the hole and let it dry just to protect it from any rust.
So we're ready to start to insert the hex plus nuts. Same process as before. Thread it onto the tool. Put it into the hole, squeeze the jaws, and this thing will crimp just like the other nuts, and then we can drive an M8 screw into it.
Okay, now Mark and I have measured, and measured. We are going to do the middle section and the bottom section. We're going to cut out that wood. Then we're going to bring the wood back inside and mark exactly where the holes are so we can screw it in. So let's go cut some wood. Come on.
So we have come to realize we have no more wood. None. Also, it's supposed to snow here in Georgia in 2 days. We're going to get like 3 inches of snow maybe. So schools are going to be shut down for the next 2 weeks, and there's no bread or milk to be found within 1,000 miles. So we're going grocery shopping, and then we're going to
Home Depot.
Home Depot.
So we are now at Home Depot, and Mark is being very selective on picking out the wood. He said he has to pull out like 10 of them before he can get to one that's pretty decent. So I'm glad he's selective.
We gotta cut these. These won't fit in your car, so.
Well, last time we just hung them out the window.
We're gonna do that anyway. Nah, you didn't even get a haircut. Next order of business is to get this 1x3 piece of pine against this framing member. So we've got 7 or 8 places where we've put these riv nuts in here. Now we've got to transfer those locations to the wood so that we know where to drill the holes. So we're gonna hold this up. This is 77 inches. And it's been contoured to match this edge right here. So we're gonna hold it up and we'll notch where these holes are. We'll transfer that to the front and then we'll start drilling. This is Tanya's idea. We're gonna put a piece of tape across all these holes and we're gonna mark on the tape where the holes are. Then we'll transfer the tape to the wood and we should be all lined up. So we've got our blue tape laid across here. I can feel where the riv nuts are. Okay, so they are all marked out. Now we're going to pull the tape and transfer it to the wood. So now we want to be able to countersink the heads of the bolts. So we're going to go into the garage, we're going to grab the drill press, and we're going to use a Forstner bit to make an indentation. How about that? The trick worked with the tape. So the holes lined up nice, and this is super solid. So that's one thing about these plus nuts. They are rock solid. They have like 15 times the holding power of those self-tapping screws. So even just one of these is really good. So this piece, and that bottom piece are in, and that's really what the base is. It's going to be the base of the framing for this wall. So this has come out really good. One problem we had was this riv nut right here spun out. So what happens if it doesn't grip real well onto the wall, when you start to put the bolt in it, it'll just spin along with the bolt. So that's what happened here. So we ended up putting a couple of self-tapping screws in here just to hold this end in. But this is all solid. So now we're going to start building some vertical pieces up in here and then start filling in the rest of the framing. So you see this cool framing idea, especially up there where it's notched to fit that metal piece. Yeah, so not my idea. A guy named Oregon Batman. If you're not following him, you should, because he's awesome. But he had this great idea and I followed it, basically to notch this so it sit nice and flush. You put a plus nut in here and this thing just sits completely solid. And on top of those three is going to be our shower. So I want that part of the wall to be super solid, and definitely is. So now I'm going to fill in a lot of the remainder of these pieces here, and then we'll call it a day. Well, we are certainly getting there. This section right here, which is behind the shower, is done. This section is done. Now I'm working on this right in here, and this is kind of tricky because the van starts to curve in as it goes up. So I was trying to match that with this wood. So you see this one's at the end of that piece of wood here. There's a space. As we go to the top, that space goes away, and that's because of the curve of the van. So I basically got to build this frame here. I've already got a bunch of these pieces already built out in the garage, so those won't be a problem to put in. It's really just those pieces. But I'm out of wood again. Need like 3 pieces, so we might be going back to see our friend at Home Depot. I'm tired of framing. Never actually made it to Home Depot. Just kind of had enough for the day. So again, I think I'm going to call it here because it's freezing out. It's supposed to snow tonight. So we want to kind of get ready. Plus I've got to get to worship and practice in about an hour and a half. So I want to get ready for that. So again, what we're trying to do is mirror what's on that wall. And I think we've done a pretty good job. So this is going to be where some cabinets are going to sit. The shower will be here. Wheel well covers and the benches will be here, and then all I've got to do is fill in this area here so that I can put a frame for that window, and I think it will be done. But I've kind of had enough for tonight. I do need a little more wood, so I've got to take a ride there. But I'm going to call it a night. I'm going to go in and have some dinner. I'm going to warm up a bit, get ready for rehearsal, and I will catch up with you again tomorrow. Hey guys, so I'm back. It is absolutely freezing. I think it's 34 degrees outside, so I've actually got a space heater right over here to try to keep the van somewhat warm so I can work. But what I did this morning was I finished out this piece right here. So this is a little bit of a, this is probably the hardest area to do because there's not much really to attach onto except other pieces of wood. So I was kind of sort of haphazardly putting wood pieces in place that I could cross brace into. But overall, it's feeling pretty solid now. All I've got to do is put a frame in here after we put up the shiplap. So I think this area is really good. The only thing left to do is put in some of these upper braces over there by the big window. And I may fill in some of these upper areas, but either way, I am determined to get this done today because I'm ready to go inside. It is freezing. So Let's get to it. Like that, the framing is done, and that's good because it's about 30 degrees out. We are dying to get inside, so everything came out really good. It's really solid. Thank you for all the wonderful comments. The next thing we are going to do is frame out the shower. That'll be next, and then we'll be working on the wheel wells and probably start some electrical soon after that, so we hope you will join us.
Yes. And a side note, we'd love to give a shout out to the Georgia Bulldogs to being the national champions. Congrats.
Go Dogs.
Go Dogs.
So thanks for joining us. Feel free to hit the like button or the subscribe if you want to follow along on our entire van build journey, and we will see you next time.
Bye.